Posted by you/Rebel Yeller. My daughter, 35F, used to live a frugal lifestyle but became an emotional spender in her mid-20s, and it's now out of control. She is also the worst housekeeper imaginable, which leads to buying too much of things that can't be found and having to buy new items because necessities and frivolities get ruined. Her house is a literal pigpen of junk, garbage, and clutter. She has 3 cats and cleans the litter boxes about once per month. She and her first husband of 8 years divorced when he came out. They have 2 young children. He has a good job, and when they were together, they were probably bringing in $200K. We live in an area where the cost of living is reasonable. He's likely making about $180K now and pays child support. Within 2 years of the divorce, she remarried. She and husband number 2 bought a house they simply could not afford unless the sun, moon, and stars aligned daily. It was a 6-bedroom house with over 3,300 finished square feet. Their combined income was in the neighborhood of $125K, excluding child support. The house was $325K, and to afford it, her husband had to work at least 10 hours of overtime every week. Next thing I know, they've bought a new SUV, and a few months later, he's sporting a brand new, gigantic pickup. Then they're taking a trip to Paris for the holidays. I didn't know how much they were making, but she's a smart girl, and I assumed they were spending within their means. About 18 months into the marriage, she asked for a divorce, and that's when everything came out. They were in debt by about $80K. He had taken a new job that didn't offer overtime and had a lower salary, so there was no way they could pay for the house. Throughout the mess of getting the divorce, her sisters, brothers, and I loaned/gave her in excess of $5K for emergency items like a lawyer, apartment deposit, moving expenses, utility bills, etc. At that point, she came to me for help. With the sale of the house, she would be able to pay off some of her debt but was left with about $39K in credit card debt. I considered paying about $28K for her and setting up a repayment plan while also establishing plans for her to get her own debts under control. I expressed clearly that this would require a complete change in her spending habits as she would have to live for 5 years as if she had no money. But after that, everything would be paid off, and she'd be all good. She was focused only on my paying off a bunch of her debt, and I could see that. As we discussed ways to cut her expenses, she brushed off every reasonable suggestion, such as no cable/streaming services, they have internet and YouTube, no weekly meals out, grocery shopping at Walmart and Aldi instead of Target, and no daily trips to Target just because. During this time, she went a little nuts before the divorce was finalized, and 2 days after we met, she was laid off when her position was terminated. 3 days later, we got together for her birthday, and her 9-year-old daughter was wearing a $200 pair of new cowboy boots that she had gotten 2 days before when she and her mom went to see some big-name country singer in concert out of town. At that point, I noped myself right out of helping her. She was paying me back for a few thousand in loans, and I just stopped expecting those payments but planned to resume them when her situation improved. She was out of work for about 3 months and finally landed a job making 66% of her former salary, about $50K. I haven't asked her to resume her loan payments. She called the other day because when she got her new SUV, it was an adjustable loan. The new rate is coming up, and her payment is going to more than double, to over $800 a month. She can't afford that, and she has no credit to get a car on her own. She wants my help with that. In the last 2 weeks, she had professional family portraits taken and got a new tattoo, piercing, and full head hair color. My credit score is 830, my only debt is my house payment, which is ridiculously low. I live an extremely frugal life, mostly. I've got a great savings account, excellent retirement savings, and I still work and make enough to live better than I do. I am financially conscientious. I do some fun things with my money, and I have earned that right. If I don't help her, she will have the car repossessed. She has to have a car, or everything will spiral. Also, she's a terrible driver and has been at fault in as many as 6 accidents in the last 8 years. I am at a loss for how to help her because I know how she is. Someone has been there to bail her out over the last 2 years, which I believe has made her lazy, complacent, and blind to her situation. She is coming over today now, to talk about her finances. I insisted she bring everything, including all of her bills, bank account info, salary info, 401k and other retirement info, and child support. She said she'd be willing to let me help her set up a budget and plan. I've heard that before. So, please, can anyone offer me any advice on how to proceed? I want to help her, but I do not want to enable her. I can't make her change, and I'm not going to try. I don't know what to do. Help, please. Update 8 months later. 7 months ago, I posted about my adult daughter, who appeared to be actively working to ruin her life financially and was always asking for money from me, her siblings, and probably her friends. I wanted to find a way to help her. I received a lot of don't responses, as well as some good and interesting advice. Here's how it all played out. She brought all her debt and income papers with her. She was making enough money to pay her bills, including the new amount that would come due each month for her car. The problem was how and where she was spending her money. The biggest culprit was meals out. The amount was staggeringly high, nearly a quarter of her monthly income for her and her 2 kids, whom she has on a 1 week on / 1 week off shared custody arrangement. After reviewing everything, I offered a few suggestions on how to immediately cut down on spending. I was met with pushback, not strong, but she wasn't really buying into my suggestions. So I asked her what she wanted, and she said, "I want to be able to pay my bills and keep my car." I replied, "Okay, stop eating out. There's $1,200 a month after you buy groceries. That's enough to pay for your car and start paying off your credit cards without borrowing money from anyone." She got angry. So I said, "I'll work up a plan for you and email it over later." She left, obviously unhappy. That night, I worked out an aggressive repayment plan that would pay off her credit card debt in 2 years while still allowing for meals out a couple of times a month at kids' eat-free places and a family entertainment night at some inexpensive spot, even better if coupons were involved. The plan showed how to pay off the highest interest rates first while still paying more than the monthly minimum on the other cards, and it laid out how the debt would be reduced each month. I chose a 2-year repayment plan because her kids will soon be in junior high, and this would give her the income for the extra expenses that come as a result. She could have extended it to a 3-year plan, and really, the only changes she had to make were cutting Netflix, cutting the Apple Watch, and stopping eating out. All the savings would go directly towards fixed expenses and debt, and if she didn't spend as much as budgeted on food, she could put it into savings. What did I get in response? Complete silence. She cut contact with me and her sisters. She'd done this before, so we all just said fine and didn't try to work it out. Then, 3 months later, I received a Venmo payment towards her loans. Her sister said she got one the same day. The payments have come each month since. A few weeks after the first one, we all saw on social media that she had taken a part-time job. In the last several weeks, she started sending texts. Most recently, she mentioned that her credit score has gone up over 200 points this year, and she's working her tail off to pay off bills. It was never my intent to give her more money or co-sign any loans. Her silence made that easier. I'm not sure if someone else loaned her the money or got her a consolidation loan. It appears she has taken financial responsibility for herself and her kids and is making good progress.